Ever since I can remember, I've had a fascination with old, dusty tomes. There's something about the smell of ancient pages and the weight of history that draws me in. So when I stumbled upon a small, antiquated bookstore on the outskirts of town, my curiosity got the best of me. I had no idea that my quest for a new literary adventure would plunge me into a world of terror and darkness. The store was a quaint, forgotten place, nestled between the ramshackle buildings of a forgotten neighborhood. Its sign, "What Locks Rare Books," was barely visible beneath a thick layer of grime. As I pushed open the creaky door and entered, a wave of musty air washed over me, carrying the scent of decaying paper. Inside, the store was a labyrinth of towering bookshelves, their contents obscured by shadows. Dust motes danced in the dim light that filtered through cracked windows. The store's owner, an elderly man with gnarled fingers, regarded me with a knowing smile as I browsed through the stacks. My fingers traced the spines of countless volumes, but one book in particular caught my attention. It was a hefty, leather-bound tome with an ornate lock securing it. The cover was etched with mysterious symbols and intricate designs. Its title was simply The Grimoire of Shadows. As I inquired about the book, the old bookseller's eyes glinted with a mischievous glimmer. He warned me that it was not a tale for the faint of heart, a book of forbidden knowledge and ancient spells. His words only fueled my curiosity, and I decided to purchase it, the weight of the leather-bound tome heavy in my hands. Once I returned home and settled into my study, I couldn't resist the urge to unlock the book's secrets. I carefully opened the heavy volume, and the pages were filled with archaic, cryptic text. The ink seemed to shimmer as if infused with an otherworldly energy. The Grimoire of Shadows told of ancient rituals and forbidden knowledge, promising untold power to those who dared to delve into its pages. As I read, I became engrossed in its dark tales of summoning, curses, and demonic pacts. The more I delved into the tome, the more it consumed my thoughts. That night, as I lay in bed, my mind swirled with the book's sinister contents. I was plagued by disturbing dreams of shadowy figures and grotesque, monstrous beings. Their eyes gleamed with malevolence, and they whispered dark incantations that echoed in my ears. Each night, the dreams grew more vivid and terrifying, and I awoke with a sense of dread that clung to me throughout the day. The Grimoire of Shadows had become an inescapable obsession, a cursed source of torment that I couldn't put down. As I read deeper into the book, I began to notice changes in my surroundings. The shadows in my study seemed to move of their own accord, whispering secrets that I couldn't decipher. The air grew heavy with a palpable sense of malevolence, and a chilling presence lurked just out of sight. The book itself began to exhibit strange behavior. It would vanish from its rightful place on my bookshelf, only to reappear in unexpected location. The symbols etched on its cover seemed to shift and writhe, as if alive. Desperate to break free from the curse of the grimoire, I turned to a local expert in the occult, Professor Evelyn Sinclair. She listened to my tale with a grim expression and warned me of the book's dark history. It was said to have been created by a malevolent sorcerer centuries ago, and all who had possessed it had met untimely ends. Together, we devised a plan to destroy the cursed tome. But as we approached it, the book unleashed a dark force that sent us sprawling. The room filled with an unnatural darkness, and the walls seemed to close in around us. Sinister whispers filled the air, and shadowy figures materialized from the inky blackness. Their eyes glowed with a sinister light, and they moved with an eerie, unnatural grace. It was as if the book's dark tales had come to life, and they hungered for our souls. In a desperate bid for survival, Professor Sinclair chanted an incantation that banished the shadowy figures, and I seized the Grimoire of Shadows. With all my strength, I hurled it into the roaring fireplace. The book ignited with an otherworldly flame, its pages curling and blackening as if in agony. The room filled with a cacophony of wailing, as if the book itself were crying out in torment. The fire burned with an intensity I had never seen, and as the last ember smoldered, the Grimoire of Shadows was reduced to ashes. The malevolence that had plagued me for weeks seemed to lift, and the shadows that had haunted my every step retreated. Professor Sinclair warned me never to seek forbidden knowledge again, for the cursed book had shown me the consequences of delving into the darkness. As I watched the ashes of the grimoire of shadows scatter into the wind, I knew that I had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. The cursed tome had nearly consumed me, its dark secrets threatening to unravel my very soul. The experience served as a chilling reminder that some knowledge is better left undisturbed. For there are ancient, malevolent forces that should never be awakened.